gods where they dealt with alchemy. Now, one of the best books, out-of-print book on alchemy that came out in 1980, and I just so happen to have the book, is back out now. It used to be called, the guy's name is Kenneth Rayner Johnson. And the name of the book used to be called The Fulcanelli Phenomenon, the one from 1980. The new book now is under a new title and it's called The Immortal. Fulcanelli was working around with some alchemy. And the white people, since the Moors introduced alchemy up into Europe, they produced alchemy into Europe because alchemy, somehow they was trying to make this white boy into a higher spiritual being. They was trying to give him a soul, or trying to raise what spirit he did have. They couldn't give him a soul, so they tried to raise what spirit he does have. There's a spirit, there's a difference between a spirit and a doggone soul. Now in Spain, they gave them all this particular alchemical studies and stuff. And you had the guy Alberta Magnus and all these particular people in alchemy that were studying this. So when you go see Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that's what they was dealing with alchemy. When they are dealing with alchemy, and alchemy is what they did on the original Yakub thing. So now, the key is Yakub was in the junior high school and he could only make the body and put life into it, but he couldn't make a soul. It's a difference between spirit and a soul. Animals have spirits. You see what I'm saying? But the soul that we're talking about, the soul of God, comes from the original God plane or the Godhead. So Fulcanelli was a cracker that broke some of these particular secrets in the 70s on alchemy in the star system Sirius, using the Quran and using using the Bible, the Quran, and ancient Egyptian mysteries. And he also studied Aleister Crowley. And he broke a certain amount of secrets. So what happened was the government, the CIA and the government of America got after him because they wanted to get these mysteries. This was before they really started making melatonin. And so he disappeared. And they never saw him again. But anyway, the guy Kenneth Rayner Johnson wrote the book The Fulcanelli Phenomenon in 1980, and he somehow received some of Fulcanelli's papers, if not all of them. So the book is called The Immortal now, and it's in print again. It's not so by the guy Kenneth Rayner Johnson is the name of the book, and it's a book on alchemy, and it's dealing with those particular disciplines. So the Hermetic text went to Greek. At the same time, the Egyptian priests said, hey, the world is becoming a place where they don't have priesthoods anymore. So what we have to do is we got to break these scriptures, or we got to break this stuff that we had in the mystery system down enough that it can be plain and simple, that you don't have to be in no mystery school. You can just read the text, and if you got a good teacher, you can learn this stuff. So out of the Library of Alexandria, a group of Egyptians also along the Nile Valley called the Coptic race, or they spoke Coptic, and these group of preachers, let's say each priest took a part of Egypt, a part of Arabia, part of Mesopotamia, a part of different places, and they went to certain parts. So each priest, they had 80,000 priests that came out of the Temple of Karnak alone. So each priest went to a certain part of the whole Mediterranean. And they started teaching breaking this particular stuff down, and they call it Gnosticism, which means gnosis. And gnosis means knowing or knowledge. And they started breaking the stuff down that it took 40 years for the priests to get. They started breaking this stuff down simplistic. Not because they also wanted to teach the people that was living back then, but they know they had to break it down simplistically so we could get it now. Because they were prophesizing us sitting in this room right now, in any other doggone meeting that you ever went to in knowledge, since you've been in the knowledge. If this is your first time, welcome to the mystery school. They foresaw all of this because they can prophesy into the future. You know they could because they can accurately tell you things that went down in the apocalypse, which came from Persia, the Persians got it from Egypt, because the real writer of the book of Revelation is Maya. Now, hell, you can look in that book of the dead and they say, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, hey, Ruth. Right in there. You see what I'm saying? But so now, they could foresee things now, so they wrote it actually for us now. Now, it was called Gnosticism. So the Greeks got some of these Gnostic texts. And the Greeks later on were conquered by Rome. Rome came in and burnt down the damn Library of Alexandria because the Romans wasn't good for one thing, killing people. That was their biggest thing, killing people. You see. But they had inherited all of the papyruses the Greeks had smuggled out of Egypt. And these Gnostic papyruses are Gnosticism. Now, what happened was this. The Jews who had gotten their stuff from Akhenaten and was studying the Kabbalah was running stuff in that area. And the only thing the Romans was doing was persecuting these black people. But the Romans said, well, hell, we got a little bull jive, Romulus and Remus, of us being suckered with wolves, and it ain't working. We need to get some of their stuff and make it ours. They say, but wait a minute. We already got some of their stuff. The Greeks had smuggled some of their stuff out of Egypt because the Egyptians, the Jews, and all of them was one race of people. You see what I'm saying? They said, we got some of this. We got a whole library of these Gnostic texts that was translated into Greece from Egypt. And in there they say the Messiah that they got was a Greek Messiah called Jesus, where you get the word J, with Jupiter, and Zeus, father of the god, Jesus, Jesus, or Jesus, same as what you call it, which is Jesus, which was around before, which is Jehu or Heru in Egypt, where you get the word Jerusalem. So they said, we got some of this particular stuff, and this is what we need to do. They got all of this material. They had the Gnostic people that was there at the particular time that was living there, which is these Gnostic priests, knew that these particular, what they were getting ready to do. So the Romans took this particular information. They say, hey, the Christ that they're talking about is in all cultures, and this is a Christ that is supposed to come. It's supposed to be a race of black people at the end times, which is us. But what we need to do is we need to take these scripts and we need to make everything historicalized. So what they did is all the Jesus stuff that was mystical and metaphysical, they literally came in and went into the scriptures and made it history. That's the reality of it. They made it historicalized. And what they did was this. They made a whole new book from original book. Now, the original book is the Gnostic scriptures that came from the Hermetic scriptures, which is Egyptian, which all of that was Egyptian priests. So it don't matter what came from what. It was the Egyptian priests. Gnosticism is Egyptian. Kabbalistic is Egyptian, or what they say, Cam, which means black. All of that was the same discipline. You see what I'm saying? It's the same discipline. This is a Hermetic book. The book, The Art of Hermes, book 3 of the Golden Dawn series. This is the stuff that these white people in Europe acquired when they went up into Egypt after Napoleon. They say that Hermeticism tradition focused upon what Western occultism of the past 5 centuries is based on. The Hermetic magic of Hermes Trismegistus, which is the god Tahuti. Hermes is the Greek word for Tahuti, which is god of wisdom. In the past 5 centuries, they're saying that all European shit is based on this. This is what the cracker said right here. Let's read it again. The Hermetic tradition is the art of Hermes focused upon what Western occultism for the past 5 centuries is based upon. The Hermetic magic of Hermes Trismegistus was the god of wisdom, is the Greco-Egyptian philosophers during the early centuries of Christianity. He links with alchemy, medicine, magic, and all mysteries. All secret schools and orders in the West that claim occult tradition such as Freemasonry are loosely linked to Hermes. This volume contributes to the writer's accomplishment of the ceremonial magic treatise of the course of Hermetic tradition of ancient Egypt. The Greek philosophy, the Greek mystery religion, Gnosticism, Neoplatonism, and